Today, we're going to be combining all three of the early game properties into one gigantic weed operation. This is going to net you 32 bricks of heavenly weed every single day, and it's going to be enough to last you all the way into the end game and supply all of your customers. We'll go to each property one by one, take a look at the schematic in the Schedule 1 editor, and then we'll do each build step by step, and then we'll test everything at the end to make sure that we're actually meeting our production goals. Let's get started by taking a look at the Stash and Dash. Here you can see that this is the main hub for our growing. We're going to have 2 botanists growing, and we're also going to have a small storage system so that we can fit 100 plants worth of seeds and soil in here. All of our plants will be routed directly into the brick press so that our handler will prioritize pressing bricks first. And don't worry, if you're still in the early game, our handler actually will have extra assignments here, so you can set this up to use a packaging station instead. You'll just need an extra storage shelf as well. Now, with that brief overview out of the way, here's the supplies you'll need. You'll need 16 moisture preserving pot setups, so that means 16 suspension racks and 16 lights as well. You'll also need 2 large storage racks, 3 lockers, 1 safe, 1 brick press, and 1 small storage rack. Now we can go ahead and get started on our pot placement. We're going to place 6 pots along either side of the outside walls of the Stash and Dash, starting from the back corners. This will fill up the entire indented wall and the opposite wall. Then we're going to find the middle of the room and make another row of 4, so we have 2 rows of 6 and 1 row of 4. That's all of our pots. All we need to do now is go ahead and throw all of our suspension racks and lights on them. So go ahead and do that now. These 16 pots should be netting us around 24 to 25 bricks per day, potentially more if we upgrade from the base soil. So once we're all finished, this is how everything should look with all of our pot setups all together. Now we can go ahead and move on to our storage center here. And we're going to start off by placing 1 large storage rack directly against the garage door, followed by another storage rack directly next to that one. We can then place 2 of our lockers parallel with those storage units, and then 1 locker perpendicular to those against the brick wall. Then we can place our safe in that little indentation in between our lockers here, and then we can turn over to face our pot setups and place the small storage rack in front of the row of 4 pots. Finally, our brick press can go right in front of that small storage rack. And now we can move on to our item filtering, and we're going to keep it really simple for this. All that we're going to need is seeds and soil. So what I'm going to do here is select the green crack seeds and the base soil, and I'm going to do both of them and then press apply to siblings. Then I'll go into each cell and I'll just deselect one of them and alternate in each cell. That way we just every other slot is seeds and every other slot is soil. Then we can just go over to these large storage racks and do the exact same thing. All 3 storage racks are the same, just alternate seeds and soil. Very simple. Once that's all out of the way, we can move on to assigning our employees. So I'm going to come over here and grab my handler. I'll walk inside, assign him to his locker, then I'll assign him to the brick press. And he's only going to be using 3 of these routes, so if you need to early game until you unlock the brick press, you can still use a packaging station. You'll just need more shelves. Anyways, we'll be taking from this first shelf here next to the garage door and the main door and bringing it into that small storage shelf. We're then going to be bringing things into this shelf from that shelf that's directly next to the garage door. Finally, we'll be unloading things from loading dock 1 into the shelf that's next to the garage door. Once we're finished with that, we can move on to our first botanist. We'll come inside, give him a locker, assign his supply shelf to be this small storage shelf, and then I'll give him 1 of the rows of 6, and I'll give him half of the row of 4, and I just alternate these every other one for each botanist. Then we can go grab our second botanist and do the exact same thing. Locker, small storage shelf for the supplies, and then give him 6 pots, again on the left wall, and 2 in the center row. Now we're just about done here in the Stash and Dash, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my phone and order my deliveries. I'm going to order 100 seeds and 100 soil. We have enough storage slots inside the building to fit 100 of each, so this is the simplest way to order it without getting any backups. So now all that's left is to assign the destination for the brick press, and that's it, we're done. Good job, guys. I'm glad that we could all get through that. So we'll just go ahead and check out if this build is working well or not. And, oh, wait. I kind of forgot about this part. We also need to assign the pots their destinations. Don't make the same mistake that I did, because I just walked away and totally forgot to do this. But every pot, you'll go ahead and select all of them at the same time, and then you're going to manage the destination, and we're going to set them all directly into the brick press. And now that's it. So we can let these guys go ahead and cut everything down, and now I'll let them get to work. Hopefully no more hiccups. Now I tested this build out for a week and we were consistently producing right around an average of 24 bricks per day. And that's with the base soil. So if you did bump up your soil grade by 1 or 2, you would actually produce slightly more, maybe an extra brick or 2 a day. I think probably only 1 extra brick per day per botanist. So each botanist here is producing about 12 bricks a day on average. And that's good. That puts us at 24, but we're going to need 32 to supply our bungalow. So next, let's head over to the sweatshop where we're going to top off that final remainder. And boom, just like that, here we are. Wow, like magic. Let's take a look at this schematic. So as you can see, we're just running the one botanist and we have quite a few storage racks. And the reason for that is this. Each of our pots is going to have its own storage rack as the destination. This will allow us to stockpile large amounts in between delivering it over to the bungalow ourselves. This is pretty much just because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it that often. So let's get started off here. I'm going to place 4 plant pots against the wall directly opposite to the door. And then 2 tiles away from those, I'm going to place the remainder 4 of our plant pots. This is going to provide a nice little work area for our botanist so that he's just efficiently moving between plants. Then we can throw up our suspension racks and our lights, and just like that, our grow area is finished. Moving on, now we can place a locker directly next to our grow area, followed by 3 medium storage racks in line with it. Don't worry, you can still access the locker here. Next, we'll place 1 large storage rack also directly next to all of our plant setup, and this will be our botanist supply shelf. Finally, we'll go over here into the opposite corner of the room. We're going to place 6 storage shelves up until we reach the sink. Then we'll place 2 more that are parallel with the sink. Now we still have this little area to walk through, our botanist can walk through, and we have a huge storage system for all of our pots. So we can go ahead and assign each pot to the destination being its own storage rack. I try and do these with equal distance in between them, so the pots that are closest go to the storage shelves that are farthest, so on and so forth. But to save time in the video, I'm not going to show all that. I'm sure you guys got this. Now all that we need to do is go ahead and assign our botanist all of his stuff, and we'll be ready to roll. So we'll just grab our botanist with the clipboard, assign him the lockers that's right inside the door, and then assign him to this supply shelf that's next to his growing area. Then we can just assign him to all these pots. And the order that you assign them in really doesn't matter, guys. This botanist is going to be producing more than what we need out of this property by a slight amount, so it's okay to be a little bit less picky about this one. All that's left to do is fill all of these shelves up with supplies and then we're good to go. So here we go. You can just balance these half soil, half seeds. It's really convenient because the sweatshop is so close to the hardware store, so you can just stock up those 3 medium shelves like once a week or so, and each day just top off the large storage rack that is his supply shelf and make sure that he has 4 stacks of seeds and 4 stacks of soil. And then you know that you have enough time to be away from this property and he's still going to grow up to 40 plants before you come back. Alright, it's finally time to finish off this combo build at the bungalow so we can dry all of the weed being grown at the stash and dash and the sweatshop. Here we have our build layout. As you can see, we have quite a few drying racks. We'll be using 4 botanists and only 1 handler. And this means that we want to keep our handler working close to the door as possible so that we can keep good uptime. These are the supplies that you'll need here. 1 safe, 1 brick press, 32 drying racks, 4 medium storage racks, 2 large storage racks, 5 lockers, and a single packaging station. This all comes up to a total of $17,000 for the build, plus $1,000 of upkeep costs paying your employees each day. Now let's get on with the build. We're going to start off here in this corner of the living room next to the back door. We're going to place our 5 lockers, followed immediately by one large storage rack. And then we'll have our packaging station perpendicular to that. We can then make a row of 4 medium storage racks directly in between the door and the packaging station, followed by one large storage rack in the kitchen, one tile away from this dividing wall. Now that we have all of our lockers and storage shelves out of the way, we can start off on our drying racks. We're going to have 6 drying racks in the living room. We'll start with these 2 along the wall between the kitchen and the back door, and then we'll make another set of 4 drying racks, one tile away from that. So now we have a group of 2 and a group of 4. We'll then come over into the kitchen, we'll add one onto this side over here, and then make another group of 2 right next to this dividing wall. After we've placed those, we can turn around, place another drying rack in the opposite corner with one more one tile away, then again go one tile away for this third rack, and place a 4th rack so we now have this sort of cross pattern between. We're then going to attach 3 more drying racks onto that 4th one, so now we have 16 drying racks in total between the kitchen and the living room, and everything is still perfectly walkable for us and the employees, and we can begin in the bedroom. Here we're going to place 4 drying racks along both sides of the walls. So these will be long ways all the way down the wall. Next we'll come into the center of the room, one tile away from the wall and one tile away from the other rows of drying racks, and we're going to make 2 separate groups of 4. These will both be one tile away from each other as well. That way we still have room to walk in between everything so we can check on stuff and we can still get to the door, easy access in and out. The final things that we have to place for this build is just the brick press and the safe. So our brick press is going to go in the kitchen here directly to the right of the dividing wall. The safe will just go to the left of the dividing wall. And now we can finally get to our employees' assignments. So what we're going to do is, starting off with our handler, we're going to begin here by assigning him the brick press, and then we're going to start with the 5th assignment of his roots, just to get this one out of the way really quickly. So we'll grab the 5th assignment. We're going to take things from this large storage rack in the kitchen and place them on the brick press. So that will be all of our product after it's dried, and this will be the final task that he does after he makes sure that the botanists have more product to dry. Now we can make our way over to this system of storage shelves here, these mediums. And this front storage shelf here is going to be the botanist supply shelf for all 4 botanists. So what we're going to want to do is have all of these shelves going into that front shelf. I'm going to start with this inner left shelf and route it to the very most left shelf. Then I'll do the inner right shelf and again route it to the very left shelf. And finally I'll do the 4th shelf all the way to the left. Assigning it this way rather than chaining all 4 of these together is actually going to save us a significant amount of time with less handler animations each day. Now this 4th route here is obviously just going to be from the loading dock into this main supply shelf here directly next to the door. Now we know that we have enough storage space to make sure that we can get a full day's work in. Time to move on to the botanists. You're going to select each of these botanists and assign them a locker. And then each botanist is going to be assigned to 8 drying racks. I'm just going to show you this picture as an example. As you can see, each botanist's drying rack is highlighted with a different color. All you want to do is just keep these guys working near their own workstations, just to save a little bit of extra walking time. But it really doesn't matter which racks are assigned to which of these botanists, just that all of them have 8. And all of them are assigned to that storage shelf directly next to the door, and that's their supplies. Then, once you've got all botanists assigned to their drying racks, what you're going to do is manage every drying rack and bring it directly into this storage rack that's across from the brick press. So they'll place all of the dried product there, where our handler will then pick it up and put it on the brick press so that he can work. So that's what I'll finish up right here now in my build. And you guys go ahead and do the exact same thing. I just wanted to spare you the boring video of me walking back and forth assigning drying racks. But now we can just simply finish off the build by assigning our brick press directly into this safe. And then once that's done, we can grab our botanist, Make sure that all of their supplies are this storage rack here by the door. And I just ran over to the stash and dash to grab some of our bricks. Now I'll break them down and I will fill up all of our shelves here so that we can get this thing all started up. I also brought a van full of unpackaged product from the sweatshop. So all of our botanists are here. They're going to start hanging everything up and just making sure that everything is going to run as I believe it should. Gonna go ahead and give this a quick little 7-day test, make sure. I'm expecting that we should see 32 bricks a day, maybe more, maybe a little bit less. I don't think it would be less, but with the timers of the days in this game, it could be less. But yeah, 32 bricks is the goal, so I'm gonna go ahead and run this and see what happens. As long as it makes that, then we should be using up almost all of what we're growing at the sweatshop and the stash and dash, which is the goal here. I just want to be able to produce slightly more than what I can dry here. So we always have this place full. We're always going to be getting our 32 bricks a day. And yeah, so let's go ahead and check this thing out. I'll let it run. I'll keep all of the weed in one of these lockers here behind me, keep it all separated, and we'll keep track of each day and check out the results. Now, this is just a quick time lapse of a full day of what happens here. As you can see, our handler will work all of the beginning portion of the day pressing bricks, and then when our botanists start to take the product off the shelf, he goes over to restock it. And since he restocks it enough to where they no longer need more, he then has time to continue pressing bricks for a few more hours till the end of the day. But that is going to roll us straight into 4 a.m. on the end of the 7th day of the test here. So I'm gonna let these guys just finish up what they're doing and walk out of the building so they can get out of my way. As you see, we still have product here on this shelf. That means that every botanist has completed all of their tasks for the day. All of them are set up for drying and their next dry. I'll grab this brick off the press. There's always one on the press. So this is 32 here for the 7th day. And, I think you can guess what that means. Basically, here's the first day on this shelf. Or rather, I should say the first 2 days. The top row here is the first day, as you can see, 38. The bottom row is the second day, 28. So this does average out to be 32. And then we have our third day here, sorry, 32. Our fourth day is also 32. The fifth day, also 32. Sixth day, 32 again. And as you just saw, the seventh day, 32. So we did end up achieving a good balance here. I'll say I'm glad that this build ended up meeting expectations. I do wish that the handler had like a little bit faster of animations on the brick press and stuff, but or even with him like handling things on the shelves, if that could be a little bit faster, that would be awesome. But yeah, the build works great as long as all of your shelves and the van is full at the end of each night. Like basically at 4 a.m., you could just fill up all those shelves and park a fresh van full of product. And then the next day, you will make 32 bricks. As long as you have this van full, I didn't have this full at the end of or at the beginning of the last day because I knew that this was the last day of the test. But yeah, as long as your shelves and everything are full, you're going to end up getting 32 bricks every day. So all in all, the build did what I expected it to do. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm glad to be able to make use of the 3 smaller builds and kind of combine them into one bigger thing that works well together. So you basically get the value of like a 10-man property by combining these 3 smaller ones. So it's pretty good, but hopefully you get some use out of it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. You go have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.